So basically, this week's this session is going to be between Sonic 1 on the Master System and a
And
Janet
Game
Jackson
Gear.
song. What?
A Master System and Game Gear, because the video link you showed is
Well, they're
specific to the-
basically the same system.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, Master System and Game Gear. So it's going to be the Bridge Zone from Sonic 1 on those two systems, and Together Again by Janet Jackson. Not exactly what you would think would be ripping off a video game, but so
Yeah, it's so for the main video, look at the links below. I will clearly make an easy video that it'll stand alone with the actual sounds in the background of Jim and I talking, but you listen to it and right off the bat, yes, it is clearly inspired. Like Jim said, it's a very interesting choice, but
yeah, for the Janet song, skip to minute 24, and you'll hear when basically when the hook kicks in. That's when you hear it.
I get it. What's interesting is the only part that kind of confuses me is I'm looking at the Janet Jackson video and it's saying 1997, and Sonic 1 was well before then, right? That was 91.
Yeah, the Janet song was ripping off this Sonic song.
Yeah, so last time, sorry, that's where I got confused.
The last time it was in the opposite, where, what do you call it?
It was they were ripping off Paula Abdul.
They ripped off, they used Paula Abdul to inspire Streets of Rage.
Yes.
This
so
is the
this
other
time,
one. Yeah.
I mean, it sounds, as Jim said, the hook, if you listen to Janet Jackson's song, the Together Again, it's pretty damn close. Could it be a coincidence?
No. No, rhythmically, it's exactly the same. We're talking the 90s here where music sampling everything was sampled from something else. So
here's my question. What I would love to do and like kind of dig into, not that we're going to right now. So do you think this was a case of whoever wrote her music or developed whatever, do you think they were just playing those games while like working on an album and they're like, damn, that would be a kind of interesting beat to like this.
Yeah.
Or like how you think it's just that simple, or like is this a kid, not a kid, but is this someone who they were in 91, they were what, 16 or so, listening to or playing Sonic all the time, and then they grew up, became a writer, and they were just inspired, kind of like me and you, like if for some reason we took a wild path, and you do play music, but like
right.
If you actually wrote music, it'd be like, a lot of Jim's songs sound like Streets of Rage 2. Or like, like all of a sudden, like it sounds like you could pull inspiration from shit you grew up with. Like, do you think it was as blatant as we're going to use this exact thing? Or maybe it was just something this person was very, very inspired by as a kid and it just stuck with them?
I think it's more the latter because, like I said, like I do play music and I'll always like randomly, like when trying to come up with a song, say I need a fill. I'll just rip off a fill from a song that's stuck in my head from 15 years ago and shit like that. So
yeah,
I think anyone with like a more musical kind of mind, they always have those random beats and songs. And even for me with, old video game tracks, I have random beeps and boops going in my head all the goddamn time that like I can have stuck in my head for weeks on end. So what do you call it? Like, I'm sure he was sitting there and he was just like, hey, you know what? Let me see if this beat would work for this. And he just threw it in there and went, oh shit, this does work.
It works really well.
Yeah. So I guarantee that's probably what happened.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Like, I don't think it was.
I mean, if he was sitting there playing his Game Gear and went, my God, that would be even funnier. But I think most likely it was a thing where he just always had that song stuck in his head because it's a catchy ass tune.
Because here's the deal. Like you said, what's weird is you're talking a Master System or Game Gear, and this came out in 97, the song.
Right.
Best case, he wrote it in 96. So was he actively playing a Master System or Game Gear then? Like by that point, like wouldn't you have had a Genesis? Like there's so many little questions I have.
Unless he was Brazilian or European, probably wasn't. So, I don't know. I don't know who the hell the sound engineer was who put the song together, but it's probably a deal where either maybe he was that weird kid on the block who grew up with the Master System. Maybe there's that, so he always had that stuck in his head.
But when you hear that, though, when you see something this, like,
Blatant.
does it kind of piss you off? You're like, then where the fuck is the connection to, like, Green Hill Zone? Or, like, something very much better? You know, like
Or more well-known.
Exactly.
Maybe you can't go too well-known because then you'll get sued faster or more easy. So maybe the fact he snuck this in there, not like Sega would probably have the money to take on Sony Music or whoever the hell the record label was, especially in the 90s when record labels like ruled the world. So not like you'd win a lawsuit with that anyway, even though this was pretty blatant.
But I'm curious, like, so, you know, rappers especially, but a lot of musicians, they sample other music. They have to buy the rights from their previous owner, and usually it's much more expensive when it's a song.
Right.
But if it was something obscure like this, like, I can't imagine the royalties for a goddamn Bridgezone song from a Game Gear and Master System can't be as much as, like, you know, like sampling a P. Diddy song or, like, you know,
Or like when Vanilla Ice sampled
song.
Queen. Yeah.
Well, Jim, it was much different. He went din 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 din. Tss.
Yep. There was that extra thing.
But that's why I'm actually kind of curious. We talk about pop culture all the time. People have such a boner for 80s, early 90s. Why don't artists, like, there are some great tracks and music from that era. Like, I can't imagine getting those royalties is harder than all the other shit they sample from previous artists. I don't know. Like, maybe I'm oversimplifying it, but yeah.
Yeah, and maybe this is just one where a guy went, let me see if I can get away with this, and he did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is one I want to almost follow up. Like, I want to, like, dig into, be like, did anyone ever, like, do a lawsuit about that? Like,
nothing I ever heard of, but that would be interesting.
Yeah. So, no, that was a good pull. And like I said, I definitely want to make that a recurring bit. So, you guys listen. I think it's irrefutable that it's the same. But
yeah. And if you have examples, please send them our way so we can take a look.